G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. Today we're going through the final position and talking about the lock, singular, and all of the other options to go at our R2. Let's go!
Just done it from nowhere. Hoisted the goal from inside the centre. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty. Round Petty. Petrarca. Oh, wow. How good is that? The legend becomes immortal.
G'day and welcome again to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host Mitch. Casey, you can find me on Twitter at Ball Boys Fantasy, and here for the last time before the preseason, or one of the last times before the preseason finishes. I'm here with Luke, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I liked that the lock singular in the
the Ruck there is
line,
only one person we can lock into the Ruck.
I think most people are locking in Big Rowan Marshall, aren't they?
Yeah, so we're going to be going through a lot of the Rucks and the dilemma of what the hell are we doing at R2/R1 if you're going up to English.
Yep.
And all of that stuff. But before we do that, I do just want to... We've got some news, mate. We're recording this on Monday night, the week before the AFL Fantasy or AFL season begins, and we've got some debutants announced. So a couple of blue boys, Lockie Cowan and... is it Hollands as well?
Yeah, Hollands, I think. And it seemed really nice the way that they went about it. I think... they got all the boys in the room, and then was it Vossi that got a call from their dads, and their dads got to announce it to them, I think, is my understanding.
It was very cute. So
pretty cool.
Yeah, so we don't know yet what this means on Alex, the bread.
Yeah, the ciabatta.
The ciabatta, Alex Cincotta. Now, I was asking you, and I haven't had a chance to research it since starting the pod, so let us know in the comments if you do know, but I'm not sure if Alex Cincotta has ever played a game before. I'll actually just look up this right now.
Yeah, well, if he was a debutant, it would be interesting to do the big announcement for two.
You would think.
I don't know how you'd play that, but
no. So I don't think he's played a game yet. So to me, that kind of spells bad news that he might not be there for round one. So 200k option that might not be there for us. So a bit of planning. If he was in your side, might need to find a bit of cash to get him up to a Lockie Cowan.
Yeah.
42k doesn't sound like a lot, but I know for my team especially,
it breaks the bank, man.
Yeah, it's tight ship. So take that one into account. So, and the other thing I wanted to have a look at, and I don't know if you've got the reviews there, wanted to give a couple of shout outs to a few people that gave us some really positive reviews. We ran out of time on our last podcast, but going through our Rucks today, I think we'll have a bit of time.
Yeah, we shouldn't spend too long on
but
them.
let's give a shout out to a few reviews over on Apple Podcast. Again, thank you guys to everyone who has left a Apple Podcast rating and review, 5 stars over there. We've had a lot come through in the last week, those trying to get into the draft league, which we did on the weekend just gone. But if you are enjoying the fantasy content and enjoying the podcasts and the shows over on YouTube, head over onto Apple Podcasts and drop a 5-star rating over there. We would much appreciate it. And vice versa, if you're listening on podcasts, usually head over to YouTube and make sure hit subscribe on there. Even if you usually listen to on podcasts, it would be much appreciated. So you got some good reviews up here.
This one's a nice one here. It says, Mitch is a great fantasy sports guy and has helped me a lot with basketball over the years. He's just as knowledgeable with AFL, and I would recommend this podcast to anyone who plays AFL fantasy. I think we all know that was Mitch that wrote that.
Excuse me, that could be anyone there. Who said that there? Was that the
Celtics for the chip? There's no hiding, mate. That was you.
Quick, hide all the Celtics merch.
Well, let's see if we can find a genuine one that wasn't written by bloody one half of the show.
Okay.
No, this one here is actually nice. I stumbled onto this brand new pod a few weeks back. The first thing that stuck out to me was the production quality. I don't know whether that would be our...
Really? Okay, yeah. I don't know if that's our calling card.
No,
we've been just even tonight, we've had some technical issues trying to solve some camera things, but
if
we're working on it.
These guys saw what was happening behind the scenes. I don't think production quality would be something we'd be getting a shout out for.
But I appreciate it, mate.
But yeah, it was very friendly. That was Russ.
Who was the guy? Someone said that they were keen for the draft. They were stiffer than Cochin's hair or something like that.
Yeah, that was a good one there.
That got me laughing. There's been some very creative comments on there. So any other ones you wanted to highlight there that really catch your eye? No?
You put me on the spot here.
Okay,
I don't want to shout out. I don't want to shout out some
spotlight.
people and leave some people out
well,
the lurch. So thank you very much for anyone who has done a review for us.
Cheers, guys. And if you are keen to support the show, that's probably the best way you guys can do it. Make sure you subscribe and drop a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcast.
Yep.
But let's get stuck into these rucks. So, Lock, you mentioned it off the top. Rowan Marshall should pretty much be in every serious fantasy coach's side.
44% of people agree with us.
One of your ruck options. Yeah, 44%, which is, again, on the higher range of things, but I think it should probably be higher. We've seen several years of data to suggest he's a 105 plus averaging player when he's on his own. It looks like he's going to be doing that. The worries about him spending time forward in the preseason with a few of the injuries have been sort of diminished. We saw in the preseason game he went big against a Draper who is actually a restrictive ruckman based on last year's stats. So I think he could be someone that at times when we've got a really positive matchup could be something that we throw a captaincy or at least a vice captaincy his way. So at 808k, huge bargain there. Lock him away. We don't really need to speak too much about Rowan Marshall, but Luke, what the hell are we doing at R2, mate? We're going to go through some of these options here.
Yeah. Look, it could come down to the wire. We've spoken about the fact that for both you and myself, it really could be dictated by who's named and who's not named come Wednesday and Thursday as to where we go with the ruck. So this first fella that we'll talk about, other than Marshall, Timmy English, is owned by 26% of coaches. For me, he's a possible because
he's a possible for me too. There is a scenario I go there.
Well, in a scenario where nothing that I like happens in terms of your Darcy Camerons, your Lycetts, then there's a scenario where I could go to English.
You just got to pull the trigger and find the cash to get there.
It'd be a tough pill to swallow, but because it is a lot of cash to chew through.
So we were talking the other day about like structure and this sort of thing, and I guess my question to you at the time was, okay, if I'm going to get English in, what I probably would need to do is go someone like a Will Day down to a rookie to make that happen, and then get someone like a Lycett or a cheaper ruck up to an English, which would give me an extra rookie on field. And it'd be someone like a Lockie Cowan or something like that. So I've got 2 rookies in my defensive line, which right now I only have
plus
1.
Constable, I'm assuming.
Constable will be now moving from D5 to D4.
Yeah.
So I guess the scenario or the comparison you've got to then ask yourself is, okay, Will Day and Lycett, what do they average as a combination versus English and a Lockie Cowan? What do they average as a duo? But then you've also got to weigh up the job security of someone like a Lockie Cowan. Like, is he potential of getting subbed off at any point? I think for me, the nervousness of some comments about Chincotta and Lockie Cowan fighting it out for that last spot suggests to me that he is quite highly likely to be a sub, at least some of these early games. So if I have that on my field, even though they might be averaging similar, it's still something that sort of weighs on my mind. And I actually think that the riskier option is going someone like an English and a rookie, because you're paying up top dollar, plus you've also got the risk of the of the sub with the rookie. So for me, even though Scott Lycett seems like a yuck option, I'm still leaning to go that way if I need to. But what are your thoughts on that kind of like equation and thinking about it that way?
Yeah, I think you can't boil it down to purely what will Lycett and Day average versus what will English and Cowan average. I don't think you can. You brought up a good point about job security, so straight away you're not boiling it down to numbers. But the other thing too that I think you have to consider as well is when you go to that Lycett Day option as well, Lycett could really put you in a pickle if he just comes out and averages 70. Then you're having to find that 300k. You're assuming that rookie you're going to have to use a rookie sort of downgrade at some point.
Is it the worst thing in the world if Lycett comes out and gives you 70? Like I know it's not what you want, but is it the worst thing in the world? Because that's the same as English coming out and giving you 100. You're paying for 70, you get 70. You pay for 100, you get 100. Do you know what I mean?
But English you keep.
English you keep. You have to trade Lycett.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I feel weird or dirty about having to...
But I'm going to trade Lycett anyway. It just means that I'm going to trade him at a lower price than I was hoping to.
But if you're picking a guy that you think is going to average... like, in no other line would you pick a guy that you think is going to average 70 and just stay at 70. If you're picking a guy that you think is average 70 on another line, you're expecting them to go bigger. Yeah. So I think if you said, you pick English, you get 100, you pay for 100, you get 100. Yeah, but I'm happy with that because I'm keeping him. I don't want to pick Lycett at 70 and get 70 because I'm not happy with that.
I get what you're saying. I guess I'm just trying to weigh up like the worst case scenario because like the reason like English, obviously I have him as like Ruck 1 or Ruck 2. Like he's going to be a gun. It really comes down to me as a structure debate. And well, first of all, what do you expect? If you expect English to be a 110 guy, well, then you have him in your team. If you expect him to be like that 100 to 105 kind of a guy, then it's the same structure debate that I have with Doherty. It's the same structure debate I have with a Rory Laird, but even less so because he's not a captain option. So when it's that kind of a thing where you're not a captain option, there's not a whole lot of value. There's been interruptions into your preseason. That structure debate to me is really the key here. So that's kind of the thing holding him out of my team at the moment. And yes, the reason that you maybe want to pay up for a player like that is because of the uncertainty in the other options. But when you do that, you still got to go like, okay, worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, I go English and I get a rookie. Worst case in that scenario is the rookie gets subbed round 1. I get 30 on my field.
English gets injured.
English goes up against a Gawn and a Grundy round 1, scores a 70 anyway. Like the downside in that option, to me, I know it's hard to just do 2 versus 2, but the downside in that to me, it seems safer on paper because he's the established guy, but when you're paying that much and you've got the other risk on the other side of things, it actually, to me, makes more... It actually sounds riskier when I put it in those terms than the other option, if that makes sense.
Yeah, look, I'm hoping that our problems in this regard could be solved by Fly McRae not selecting.
Yeah, well, we'll get to some of those guys later.
Clocks, but we will. Yeah, we better move on to the next highly owned fella, which is our boy Samson Ryan.
Samson Ryan. Can we call him? Right. Can we call him the next Flying Ryan, or is it too early for that?
Goodness me, I think it might always be too early for that.
True. Mate, pre-season points per minute though. One quarter, 40-plus points.
Well, I mean, when you come on in the last quarter and you're fresh as a daisy...
Everyone else is just trudging around in mud.
Yeah, well, not only are they... It's the preseason. They're not even trying, and he comes out fresh as a daisy. You expect someone to do that.
And did you see some of the goals he was trying to kick? The ball's going this way, and it's going right, it's going left. He kicked one straight, which was good. It was right in front of the goal square, but...
his points per minute were right up. Dad will be cranky at us for trash talking him. I think he's riding him all the way home.
Well, yeah. But I've been known to trash talk some Richmond Tigers a bit too early, and then they come out and prove me wrong. So, we could see that happen. But he's high. The reason I'm not going to go there, he's a pass for me, is he plays that first game of the round.
Yeah. And
I don't want to have that locked into my side first game of the round. I want that loop option.
Yeah.
I think that even if he does come on, he's not going to set the world on fire. No. Even if he comes into it like week 2, week 3, if you get a guy who is DPP and you want to downgrade to get him, you can move that DPP guy into your forward line, have him sitting on your ruck bench then. So for me, he's a straight no. I'm not going with Samson Ryan.
Yeah, certainly not at the start of the year.
Yeah, as good looking of a character as he is, and he plays for our boys, but not a fan. Lachlan McAndrew is the next guy there, another sort of R3 option. This one I'm more potentially interested in. There's some wording saying that he is potentially able to get some games early in the season whilst he is out.
Yeah,
but
I guess it comes down to the debate. What do you do? What do you want to do in terms of that loop?
Yeah. So he, again, I'm filling on my phone right now, so I can't look up the schedule there. But when do Sydney play? If you just look at I think from memory they play like the Saturday night.
But if he plays, it's irrelevant, isn't it? In terms of looping?
You won't be able to loop him. So remember with your loophole option, say I wanted to VC Bailey Smith. Well, you can't do that if you've got someone like a Lachlan McAndrews because the loop option will be gone.
By then. So they play Saturday night.
Yeah, so they play Saturday night. So again, how much do I want to put into that first round or whatever, in terms of loopholing? And I'll have to have a look at his draw. To me, it's still not worth it. I think that I'd rather go that later option in this next player, which is Max Heath, as my R3 option, just so I have complete flexibility in round 1. It gives me just that little bit of time to construct my team over the weekend. Even if he doesn't ever play, I'm not too devastated because I think even if Samson Ryan, Lachlan Gendre come in, they're not going to set the world on fire. I don't think they're going to be sole rucks or anything like that.
No, you're not going to lose out, and if they do start looking likely, you can probably get on and not miss the boat.
Max Heath, like I said, he's got that DPP. Swing him forward, downgrade someone to those other guys if you really want them on your bench, and you're still looking pretty sweet there. So for me, Max Heath is still probably
he's almost a lock.
He almost is the lock here, but
he's very probable for me.
I can see the world where you might go some of those other guys there, but he's very probable for me as still my R3 option. So those are the R3 talks, and then there's just a bunch of other guys who are grouped together in that sort of just below 10% ownership. So let's talk about Darcy Cameron here. We were saying before, it depends on the teams being announced.
If we
on
see
Thursday night,
those goggles come off, then I'm in on Darcy Cameron.
So is it as simple as no Mason Cox in the team on round 1? We launch into Cameron. I think it is kind of looking that way, and as simple it is for me.
Yeah, it's probably looking that way for me as well. I'd probably like that selection to be accompanied by like some narrative from the club saying, Darcy Cameron's our boy. Like, if it was just a kind of a one-off, I'd probably still launch into it, but I might just be a little bit more wary of it.
Let me remind you of a scenario that happened last year. Last year, if I draw your attention to the Bulldogs, in the pre-season, Tim English and Steph Martin played the pre-season games together.
Yeah.
Come round 1, Tim English was named in that first game of the round. Remember, they played the first game as that finals rematch. And Tim English was named solo ruck, and it pricked my ears up, and I've said this several times. I wish I started with him round 1 because I had the thought at that time, and then we didn't see Steph Martin come into that team. Now, he's an older player, a little bit different to a Mason Cox. But even though they've played in the preseason, I wouldn't be ruling out the possibility that they still go with just one of them and they go with the Dan McStay up forward. Now, you could say that maybe they start with them, one of them gets subbed out halfway through with the sub rule. A little bit different this year, but I'm not ruling out the possibility that Darcy Cameron might be named solo ruck because of the situation like we saw last year with the Tim English thing and the Steph Martin. And I want to be a bit more, like I said, launching into it, a bit more active in terms of that. So for me, Cameron solo ruck, I'm in.
Yep.
Cameron dual ruck, I'm out. It's as simple as that for me.
Yeah, I'm probably leaning that way as well. Maybe not as sure on my convictions as you, but that would be the way I'm leaning. He's probably, of the guys on the list, he's probably the most probable in that scenario.
Yeah, so he's possible basically just based on that sort of thing for me.
Yep.
Shawnee Das, the trim pre-season.
He's looking mobile.
I think I've heard a few people say that he hasn't had a pre-season in several seasons. Now, we do have to take into a grain of salt here that he did that pre-season game with Luke Jackson.
Yeah.
He's still possible. I mean, a lot of these guys are going to be possible for me because I'm a bit up in the air, but he's possible for me because he comes in a nice price point, just a little bit more than Darcy Cameron. So it's easy enough for me to get there. 9% ownership here. He's, again, someone who is a young ruckman, up and coming, so we could just see him taking that next step forward. What are your thoughts with Sean Darcy and how likely is he to end up on your side?
He actually came in and did an impromptu training session with the boys the other day, which was interesting.
Okay.
So the thing there, I think we'd all be, if Sean Darcy was the solo ruck at Freo and Luke Jackson had gone to another club, we'd all probably be looking to launch into either Sean Darcy or Luke Jackson, respectively. Yeah. It's just the fact that they've
kind of stolen the shine off each other.
Yeah, exactly. And I still expect, like you said, for Darcy to be that solo dominant ruck there and Jackson to be more of a pinch hitter and just kind of floating around the ground a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that the fact that they're together is enough to push me away from both of them.
Still too much uncertainty, yeah. And he does come up against Rowan Marshall round 1, so again, the start, I don't want to put too much stock into it, but when you're splitting hairs, it's not the friendliest of starts for a Shawnee Das. So he's possible for me, probably a little bit less cut and dry as a Darcy Cameron, but I think he's still someone that could make his way into my side. His teammate Luke Jackson, I'm going to say pass on this one here. I can't see a scenario where he makes my team. Just don't think I see the upside for him this season.
Yeah, some people are obviously seeing it, like 9% owned. And I mean, he's not a guy that's being selected at R3, so people are selecting him to be there on the field. But for me, it's a pass as well. I just haven't done a great deal of digging into him, and I just think, like I said before, the fact that they're at the same club kind of rules him out for me.
Max Gawn, pass for me. It's just too expensive. If you've got the money to go to Max Gawn, just go to Tim English.
Exactly.
Would be my thing. Look, he might be the guy that comes out and is still a 100 averaging guy, but there's just too much uncertainty, and he's still the most expensive player. If he was cheaper, then sure, you might be able to look at it, but he's the most expensive ruck in the game, and with all those uncertainties, I just don't think you can go there. So
yeah, I'm echoing those thoughts as well.
Yeah. What about my draft ruckman here in Sammy Draper? He's on my bench.
I got to give you some insight. Mitch just felt so gross making this selection.
It felt so dirty. I was upset that players like Laddams went, Tristan Xerri went.
Right before you wanted to select him.
Right before, too, like in succession. So I got stuck with this Sammy Draper guy. Now, he's another ruckman. I think he's just turned 24, if I want to remember that correctly. He's pretty much got the sole gig there, but still just no statistical evidence to show that he is going to make any improvement. He's actually been going backwards, I think, the last couple of seasons.
Yeah,
so
he shows flashes too, doesn't he? Like, if you were to just watch a few of his games, go watch his highlights and you think, this guy's he's about ready to dominate.
Yeah.
And then you have a look at him statistically and just think there's something not quite stacking up there. So, I mean, there's every chance that there could come a season where he just pops and we think...
It could be this year. It very well could be this year.
It could be maybe a change of coach, gives him what he needs to, by way of confidence to just come out and absolutely take the competition by storm. But there's not... I can't sell myself on that narrative.
Yeah, I don't know. Free kicks against is a big thing for him. He's had some games in here where he's had 6 free kicks against, 4 free kicks against, and look, uninjured scores of 17, 28, 38, 41, 47 in there. So if he comes out and puts one of those scores up early, it's a big halt to what you would hope of a guy around his price tag to start generating that cash, to make that jump a little bit easier. So for me, it's just far too risky with a player like that. Like I said, it could happen, and if we look back and go, yep, he was the pick, I would not be surprised. So if you've got bigger balls than me, you can take the punt, but I just couldn't do it. There's no statistical reason that I can sort of point to. The numbers don't suggest that he is ready for a breakout. Maybe the narrative of his age and his, trajectory
you feel
profile.
Like you're reaching for it,
but yeah, I'm sort of really stretching myself. So pass for me.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next guy, Jared Witts. He seems like the safe option that a lot of people are going with that don't want to pay out for English. I'm going to say possible but unlikely for me. I think I'd rather go that Sean Darcy just a little bit cheaper, or if I'm going to go up, I'm just going to go right up.
Yeah, Witsy seems like free-to-air TV. Like, he's always there. It's safe as houses, but it's not sexy like Netflix.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just he is uninspiring, I suppose.
Yeah. He has had a season where he's gone over 100 before. I think it was 2019, if I want to say off the top of my head. But
I mean, maybe there's something sexy about certainty. There probably is in fantasy.
Oh, absolutely, especially in the ruck position, I think. But I think a lot of people are sort of assuming, he was the pick that we should have picked last year. Let's just do it this year. Again, I'll reiterate, just because you're healthy one season doesn't mean you're going to be healthy the next season. Yeah. So I want to put a little bit of a pause on that, but look, I don't know. He's priced at 90, so I think he could have just a little bit of meat on the bone, maybe mid-90s kind of a guy. I think I'd rather him over a Riley O'Brien, who's a similar price point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather just go that little bit extra if I was to go that, I guess. Look, because Witts is a guy that you're probably not going to be trading out anytime soon. You pay up for a guy like that. He's going at least till basically his buy. Yeah. It is the good buy, which is maybe a tick in his bow, and it's that sort of one where there's only 2 teams. But
tick in his bow.
What did I say? Tick in his bow.
Tick in his bow.
A string in his bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a tick in his box. I don't know.
Combined them. We're making new sounds here. The Ball Boys. Welcome to the Ball Boys.
But yeah, I don't know. It's probably not enough for me to jump there. Let's rule out these next few guys. Lloyd Meek, Brodie Grundy, Riley O'Brien, pass for me. Just haven't seen enough. Grundy really, I think, his stocks fell for me in the preseason. Your draft boy, actually.
Gross, hey?
Yeah, but I don't know. He didn't impress me. I thought he was going to get more of the share at the Ruck at Melbourne, but it looks like it is 50-50.
I'll look like a freaking genius if Max Gawn gets injured.
Well, that's true.
I'm
that is
sitting on
true.
Grundy.
That's true.
Oh, my goodness.
In Classic, though, I'm waiting for him to get a bit cheaper before I do that.
So you reckon that you might trade him in if he gets cheap in Classic?
Oh, if he gets cheaper and there's an injury.
Oh, and Gawn gets injured. Okay, I think that's
based
a
off
no-brainer.
that scenario you were crossing your fingers with for your draft team.
It's terrible, isn't it? I'm a horrible person.
Yeah, well, that's all right. The sickos come out in all of us in fantasy. So let's get on to these next guys here. Scott Lycett. And forget, we kind of did touch on him a little bit here. Yeah, that scares the shit out of me. 2% owned. I liked it better when he was up at like 5-6%, which is still unique, but he's come down. He's still sitting in my side right now.
So a lot of people are obviously just going Marshall English, bang, bang.
Yep. So it's not someone that I think people they saw the score. I'm putting another player in, yes. We'll talk about him soon. But they saw the score, 45. He did that on 60% game time in the preseason. He was, however, the clear number one ruck.
Yeah.
But am I overthinking it, Luke? And I'm asking you this genuinely. Okay. Am I overthinking it? I know we say don't look at scores, but when you come out and you put up a 45, if it blows up in my face, people are going to go, well, mate, he scored 45 in the preseason. What are you doing? You're an idiot. But then, my justification is he's going to be the number one ruck. That was the narrative the whole preseason. If he's the number one ruck, he's like 80 to 85. That's 10 points of upside. It's not much, but when you're uncertain about a few other options...
Yeah. The other thing we've cited is he plays Brisbane round one, so he could very well... It's in Adelaide, but... I'm
trying.
Yeah, no, I know. Brisbane have historically been not great for rucks to score against. I think...
And especially for him, I think he's had a few really big duds against Brisbane the last few times he's scored.
I reckon, take this with a grain of salt, but if Cox is not named, go to Cameron, and if Cox is named, I'd find a way to go to English. So you're off Lycett. I think...
You're forgetting Lycett.
I think I'm forgetting Lycett. And because the thing is... There's the safety in the numbers too. If you pay up and you go for English, I know it compromises your structure a little bit as well, but if you go Lycett and like you said, he hits a 45 off the bat, it's going to take then 110 to get his price going back the right way, and suddenly you're in a pickle that no one else is in.
Yeah, maybe I saved myself.
What do you stand to gain?
Well, I saved myself from the pickle of the other side of the coin of having one fewer rookies on my ground and having, a beefy midfielder that I really like and everyone else is struggling with a Finn Callahan or whatever like that.
You could leave your beefy midfield and still get English by doing day down to a rookie.
But yeah, I'd have to go day down to a rookie. I get an extra rookie on my ground, which is looking like a Lockie Cowan.
But I mean, you run... Why do we feel a bit dirty about that? Because we run 2 rookies in the forward line. We run 3 rookies or 4 for some people, rookies in the midfield. Why are we feeling dirty about running 2?
The D6 rookies to me and the way I read it don't feel secure. I know that we have a few 200k options there, but
I'd say they feel more secure than the bench options in the midfield at the moment.
Yeah, but they're not going to be on the ground though. So you know what I mean? I'm moving a bench rookie from my defense onto my field in that scenario.
So you can feel
I'd go Lockie Cowan D6.
So you can feel confident in Jimby. So he'd now be at D5.
Yeah.
Surely you get 1 of 3 playing. I know they're not going to score.
Yeah. But what if they're subbed out that game? That's what I'm worried about. So like I said before, if a Lockie Cowan and a Alex Chincotta, were said by the coach, they're fighting for the last spot. So if that guy's fighting for the last spot, would he not be the first guy subbed off?
Could be, unless they make, like you said, it's a tactical sub.
They change the structure of their team a little bit.
Yeah, look.
Does Carlton have something to do that with? Do they have a tool to take out?
Oh, probably not.
Is it Mark Pitnet that comes out or something like that? I have to really look at their side and sort of look at the makeup of their side. And
do you think it's one of those? Do you think it's one of those ones where you literally could go back and forth forever and you'd never come to an answer?
I think you just got to plant your flag in one thing. Look, I still think, and look, I could, and I'm on a podcast now and people watch this and I'm going to have to front up on Monday next week, but I think that I'm still more likely to go with a Lycett than an English.
So the tipping point for you is not the high ownership?
No.
So
I'm trying to remove ownership from my head.
Okay.
English, I think, has the potential to be good, but I don't know if he's going to be a guy that whacks like 140 on my head, especially with his draw. And there's the added, injury concerns that he's had in the preseason. Maybe I'll get lucky with an injured, Tim English. Look, I don't feel great about it, but I just don't feel great about any of the options. And so when I don't feel great about any of the options, my mindset is I'm just going to save the cash because then at least I've invested less on a risky option. I get a look. Yes, it might require a bit of a restructure if things go poorly, but I could fall back on the safety of Lycett is underpriced. Like he is. He's an 80 averaging guy. He's underpriced. He might have a poor matchup. It might be a slow burn, but... Yeah. Eventually he could get there. So I still think despite 2% ownership and it seeming like a risk, if he's number one ruck, and that is obviously the big thing, if Teagle's named the team, I'm off. I'm out.
Good, yeah.
That's the scenario. So say Cox is named with Cameron and Teagle is named either on the emergencies as like a sub or something.
Then you'd go to English.
Or he's in the team, then I go to English. That's when
Unless Goldstein's not named.
Let's go to the next couple of guys here.
My goodness.
So I'll group these two guys together. Peter Laddams, Tristan Xerri. Again, I want to refer back to that scenario of last year. Steph Martin, Tim English played in the preseason games together. Come round one, Steph Martin was not named in the round one starting side. If there is a scenario where Goldstein is not named in the round one team, Tristan Xerri is still an option.
Mate, we are so deep in the barrel, just scraping the bottom. But I see this as less likely. I don't know. Would you...
I just want to flag it. Say teams come around and Tristan and Goldstein is not...
At least you can say I told you so.
Yeah, well, if Goldstein is not... Let's say that is happening. If Goldstein is not in the team come round one, could you go Tristan Xerri? Like, if he's there, you're not going there.
I could, if you save enough cash to make everything else look
Well, you make
awesome.
cash from a Lycett to a Xerri.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So if you're saving it...
That's fixing up your rookies. That's getting a Chincotta to a Cowan right there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a play. I don't know how likely it is to happen. But I guess you got to be prepared for everything.
These are the questions, and this is like where the R2 is coming down for me, and it's going to come down to these teams. So my R2 decision will be made on that Thursday night when the teams dropped, between the teams dropping and that Richmond-Carlton game starting. That's where my R2 position is going.
You'll need to sort it then, because some of the rookies in the back line are
I will.
Carlton
It'll be
players,
a stressful hour. So I'll
you're gonna have my login Thursday night as well, mate.
You're away. So
I'm out.
You'll have to give me your contingency plans and all your moving pieces.
It's
like that meme. What's that meme? It was the guy from The Hangover or something doing the math in his head.
Yeah. That'll be it, mate. You'll be like double handling laptops.
That's me at the moment, yeah. So, I think between all the options, I'm looking at Tristan Xerri, I'm looking at Tim English, I'm looking at Scott Lycett, I'm looking at Darcy Cameron, and maybe even a Sean Darcy. So 5 possibles there.
Good to see you made up your mind.
Yeah, I know, right? But the last question I'll throw to you.
Okay.
Peter Laddams, is he an option?
No.
No?
Just because I don't want any more options.
Just don't want any more options?
I don't want to talk about any more options. This is anxiety-inducing.
Look,
well, he'd only be, I guess, a temporary option. What's he priced at?
He is priced at, I think he's in that Tristan Xerri kind of range.
I can't, in good conscience, put another name in people's heads.
He is priced at about 67, so a little bit less than a Scott Lycett. If he's sole rucking. But then again, the comments about the McAndrews kind of steers me a little bit further away from that. He didn't have the greatest preseason. I think he had a few injuries, and there was question marks whether he was going to be playing round one. He did play the preseason game, which is a tick there, but I'm probably less. I just wanted to throw it out there because there's a scenario that is the right pick.
People are going to listen to this podcast for answers and all that.
I'm sorry that we've not answered any questions. So just an insight into our minds right now.
You should have clicked out about half hour ago.
Yeah, well, if you came for answers, this was not the podcast for you. Just more questions. But I hope at least that gives an insight into the way in which my mind is working in terms of like contingency plans and how the teams being named will help shape my decisions on those R2s.
I think you've given some great insight, and I think you should go and write yourself another review.
I gotta go have a rest after this. After this podcast,
because, go create another alias.
More burner accounts, but.
I better write myself one. You just
haven't
shouted,
you done one, mate?
You just shouted yourself out.
I'm sure you just didn't read it out. I'm sure you gave yourself a review there. I'm sure there's a Richmond one in there, isn't there?
Humble as they come, mate.
All right, let's wrap this one up here, guys. But yeah, so plan for this week. Because we are so dedicated, we're actually going to be doing a 4th podcast this week. You know, just I'm working to the bone.
I'm just finding this out. I'm all in, mate.
I'm working to the bone. We've got. I want to run this name by you. I don't know if I'm ripping off Calvin over here, but the Casey's captains. What are your thoughts on Casey's captains?
Reeks of plagiarism. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
a little bit. Go through, turn it in. I mean.
Maybe we have to get permission from the Calvinator if we can.
We'll go with something else. Skipper. You know, skippers.
Skipper.
So we'll do something with that.
Okay, we'll have to think about something else.
I'll think of my S words and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, all right. We'll come up with something else, but we're going to go through.
Maybe somebody could come up with something.
Yeah, if you've got some suggestions, drop them in the comments. But we're going to go through captains in. Well, we're going to be recording on Wednesday. It'll probably come out before the Thursday night games.
Yep.
And also doing a bit of a checklist of rookies. Hopefully we'll have some more teams announcing their debutants this weekend leading into the games. And then on Friday, basically going to be doing a last-minute round 1 checklist. What's happening? What are our final thoughts on our teams? And maybe even answering a few questions there. So
big Tigers celebration, hopefully, for that Friday one too.
We'll have that round where we'll be reviewing the first games as well.
Will.
So
we're talking about 10 gold bags for Lynch and
hopefully Doherty getting injured on 20. Nah.
I'll probably have the VC on him, mate. He's going 140.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk VCs.
And then my boy Maxi Heath will come in handy, and I'll just loop it up.
Very exciting, guys. Footy is just around the corner. Again, make sure you guys are subscribed. We're going to keep pushing to that 1,000 sub goal, but make sure you give this video a big thumbs up over on YouTube, Apple podcast rating and review, and we will see you guys next time. Catch yous later. Bye.